Good morning. How is everyone? Hopefully everyone's doing good this morning. Basically, today's topic is bystander, right? Bystander. Sorry, I got messages on my phone. Bystander and sexual assault, right? When you are a bystander. So I got a couple things, some resources from RAIN. RAIN stands for Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. So their website is great. A lot of resources on there. They have their hotline, their number, some information as far as videos and other such things. All right. So that's one of the resources. So remember, online.rain.org. And if you ever know someone that's in a crisis situation due to sexual assault, you also can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline number, and you can find that if you ask Siri, Alexa, if you check online and Google that. And then obviously here, Montgomery County Women's Center, if you know someone in the area that can use the services. Okay, so one of the alarming statistics that I saw in there was every 73 seconds, another American is sexually assaulted. So just think about that for a minute, right? Every 73 seconds. So I'm putting my teal wristband on. Remember, teal is the color that represents Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So if you can get access to something that's teal, have my coffee for coffee talk right now. So remember, so if you're a bystander, okay, so sometimes we feel powerless, right? Like this is a really deep issue. If this is a topic that's affecting, my brother and my sister, one of my best friends, family and friend, it's very hard to talk about until that person opens up to you and confides in you. It means that they really, they trust you. They feel safe around you. So if they've shared something like this, they have to become really vulnerable. So they're trusting that you'll help them. Sometimes it's a really first time cry for help. So it may be even after the incident, but sometimes it could be maybe even a year later or years later, and they just now, something might trigger it, and then they feel safe to share it with someone close. So if you see this, all right, so I'll read the definition. Bystander. So as a person who is present when an event is taking place, right? Doesn't mean though that you're directly involved, right? So let's take the example, you're at a gathering or at a party or some event where there's a lot of people, maybe socially drinking, what have you, right? There's so much going on. Bystanders might be present when sexual abuse, sexual assault occurs, or they can witness these circumstances that lead up to the crime. Okay, so maybe you're not in an environment like that. Maybe I always use the example to, let's say you live in a really big city, which I have before. You're taking public transportation, and a lot of times you're just so busy. People now are just so in tune to their phone, not even paying attention to their surroundings. But let's say you're on public transportation, or even around here, you're on a college campus, or you're watching people, right? Or school, right? A lot of things I've seen on school campuses. And all of a sudden, you start hearing this conversation, red flags goes off, you start to feel very uncomfortable, right? Doesn't matter, you're a bystander. If you start to hear things that are really inappropriate, right? And you're like, wow, this person's really sexually harassing them. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what I could do, what I can say. It is a difficult situation, but yes, you would be a bystander. And then another statistic here says, on an average, there are 293,000 victims aged 12 or older of rape and sexual assault each year in the U.S. The majority of these crimes are committed by someone the victim knows. So again, it could be a family friend and or relative. Okay, so what could you do? What are some things you could do for bystander intervention? So it says to describe a situation where someone who is directly involved, stepping in, right? Trying to find a safe place, to bring that person to a safe place, to distract the other person, so that your friend or family member or just this person you know that needs to get away from the situation, you can take these steps to protect them. Sometimes people are scared to do this. They're like, I don't want to get involved. I'm not going to be a bystander. I don't want to have to get in trouble. What if somebody comes after me? Or I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do, or I'm not an expert in that field. What if I do the wrong thing? What if I make that person feel worse? What if it's their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their spouse? So there's a lot of reasons why someone would be afraid, or you don't know how to say something or where to refer them to. A lot of times when some of my coworkers here and I would go out into the schools, students would say, Miss, I have to talk to you, and I know someone that this happened to them, but I don't know how to go about it. And it's really hard, and that's the first time that they're talking to someone where they feel safe. It gets tricky because on school campuses, they just, kids, honestly, in junior high and high school, they don't feel comfortable most of the time going to the school counselor or the administration, but we would always tell them, find that one person that's an adult that you can trust. And it may not be at school. It may be like a best friend's parent or a family friend, a coach, someone else. Okay. So also other things, why don't people help more often would be, we talked about they didn't know what to say. I don't want to cause a scene is another reason. And I don't want my friend to be mad at me, right? Believe it or not, that's one of the hardest things. And you don't want to break the friendship. And then the last one is, I'm sure someone else will step in. Sometimes we think, I'm not an expert in that field. I don't know what to say. That's their job. Or even here, like, we all do different things. And some people are really good at, but I can say this, or I could say that, or I know how to tell them if they need help for domestic violence, sexual assault, what. Some people here may not be comfortable doing that. Or, hey, you know what? I'm going to refer you to my coworker. I'm going to refer you to my friend. Here's her name and number. Here's this person. Call them up or email them and then contact them. That's how you can help the friend. Or by telling your friend or family member, whoever it is, you know what? I'll go with you and you set up the time or the date. That way they feel safe. Okay, and so good morning to everybody that is paying attention. Also, if you want to give some feedback, you want to know about some other things, some of my other coworkers here are more of experts in this field, so maybe they can go over those topics during this month. So your actions do matter, right? You can make that one little change, but it could be significant. And then from that change, that person could get counseling. That person could get help. That person, if they need to seek legal advice, you planted the seed and started that for them. And so that they can feel better because it affects their well-being. Okay, so why bystander intervention matters as well. This resource is from the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. Okay, so you could check them out online. All right, so this is everybody's responsibility. An engaged bystander is someone who lives up to that responsibility by intervening before, during, or even after the situation occurred. Or if they've heard something like we talked about, or if they've seen or heard someone getting harassed, or some otherwise sexual violence. The behaviors that make up sexual violence exist on a spectrum, like we talked about, in many different settings, in public, at parties. Things can happen in more intimate spaces, public spaces, schools, online especially. And online, that's a whole nother topic, but with social media, it can be positive. Let me stress that. Social media is great like that, right? But it can be extremely negative. One of the things, a way where someone can start to harass somebody, sexually harass somebody, by stalking them, texting them all the time. It could start out like that and then turn it into something bigger that eventually ends up harming someone. How to be a good bystander, right? We talked about what you could do, right? Some possibilities, but here are some small tips or strategies they put. Disrupt was number one. Disrupt the situation, how we talked about. 2, don't act alone. Get some support from friends, family, organizations, agencies. If you have to call the hotline or a hotline from an organization in your community or ours, that's the best, right? Those people are experienced in dealing with those crisis situations. So the more people you can gather together will help the person. Confront the harasser. Whether or not you know the harasser, you can intervene by telling them in a respectful manner, direct or honest. Sometimes you can't, but if you are able to do that and confront them, you can tell them in a manner where you could say that's inappropriate if it does start to get out of hand by social media. You can also say what you just said made me feel uncomfortable, made someone else feel uncomfortable, and explaining why. We need to talk about what you said. I like that phrase. So that way you're not attacking the person, but definitely you're making a point. The next one says, set the expectation to speak up and step in, right? I can't be the only one who thinks this isn't okay. If there's other people around, right? We run across this a lot when we were in the schools, even college age, younger people, but sometimes just older adults just thinking that people talking sexually, offending people is okay. Laughing about it, joking about it. It's not that big of a deal. We were just joking. They understand. So just letting them know. Understand your privilege, position for you to speak up. Make it safer for you to speak up. Sometimes your age, your race, your gender, believe it or not, that will make a difference, okay? And take action online. Everyone can address this. So I would say, just like I said in the first Facebook Live, promote. Use this platform, social media. Everyone's on some type, right? Whether it's Facebook, Facebook Live, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. You have a business where you promote your business online, whatever it is that you do, or an organization that you're a part of, or you're part of an organization that does stuff for the community. Promote these things that you really care about or that are close to you or have affected you, and you know organizations that have helped someone that you care about. Promote that. Yes, it's April, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. but not just promote it now, that it's important to discuss all the time. Have these conversations at home with the people you live with, your family, if you have kids, whatever age they are, age appropriate, people you're dating. When you start dating, even as an adult, have these conversations to see where they are with these conversations and how this makes them feel, these topics. It's important, especially when you're dating. Okay, so that's what I have for your role as a bystander. Thanks for listening. I'm definitely going to finish my coffee. I got stuff to do. Thank you for joining in. Okay? All right. Bye.